Banged. I'll bang again, for those of you that didn't hear it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Compliance and Amendments Committee, which will actually be doing Complaint Committee today. In Hearing Room 408, it is June 21st, 4:04 p.m. Since we've got a few new people here and in the gallery, I'm going to do a really quick overview. We're going to hear the complainant first for 5 minutes, and then any parties can offer facts and evidence. And then the respondent will respond, same thing. We'll discuss, and then everybody gets each side gets a 3-minute rebuttal. If you have any questions, by all means, just stop me as we go along.
I have a question.
Not yet. I haven't even asked.
Before we take the questions?
Can we have the clerk call the roll and do everything else first?
Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, can you do
On the
your
call
thing
of the
first?
roll?
Thank you.
On the call of roll, Member Wolf.
Here.
Wolf present. Member Kanata. Here. Kanata here. Chair Fisher.
Here.
Fisher present. I just would like to inform the committee that item number 4 has been withdrawn by the complainant.
Okay, thank you.
Member Wolf, did you have a comment?
Yeah.
Before you start, were there any other agenda changes or anything
There are
else?
no other agenda
So
changes.
4 is withdrawn.
Yes.
And Member Wolf, you had a question.
So my question is whether there are any actual compliance and amendments issues on this agenda, or are they all complainant?
At this time, there are only complaints
Right.
listed on this.
Okay, great.
New complaints, I should say.
Great, thank you.
Did you say to ask as we go?
I'll allow it. Go ahead, Mr. Warfield.
I just wanted to understand. I see an extra person, and I hear that this is a complaint committee meeting, but it's posted as a compliance and amendments committee meeting, so I don't understand.
This
I'm gonna
is-
let
This is
Mr.
a
Young
Compliance
explain
and
it.
Amendments Committee meeting. However, we will be reviewing complaints that have not previously been heard by the task force at this time.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead.
Actually, in the bylaws, it states that I think the Compliance and Amendments Committee, and there's one other committee, can hear complaints as its
Yeah.
regular charge.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just confused about which committee this represents, and also I see on the agenda 2 people listed. I assume that Bruce Wolf has just been assigned, or what?
At the time of the publishing of the agenda, Member Wolf was not yet appointed to this committee. However, Member Wolf has volunteered to sit, and it has been confirmed by Vice Chair Hyland.
Thank you.
And thank you, Member Wolf, for jumping in.
My pleasure.
Mr. Young, should we call the next item?
Item number 3, file number
We're not gonna do
16023.
2?
Minutes.
We're not going to do minutes?
Oh, sorry. New habit.
Hold on a second. Ms. Tribou, we'll get to you. You're number 3.
I have a request. I got maced and my eyes are really messed up. I was wondering if I could get that chair so I could sit over here.
I will assist you momentarily.
Thank you.
Sorry, new order for me that I need to get used to.
Yeah,
Item number 2.
I noticed that too.
Approval of the April 19, 2016 Compliance and Amendments Committee meeting minutes.
Yeah, so how do we do this? Because I don't think any of us were actually at that meeting. I read them. They looked okay.
If you have no amendments that you would like to make, you can vote to adopt the minutes as is.
I'll move the minutes.
I'll second.
I-
I'm sorry, Member Kanata, did you want to
No, I'm fine.
review them? Okay.
I'll just add
Yes.
a point that we could always bring the minutes back up if we need to make any changes, but I'll assume that they're correct at this point.
I usually just look to see if my name is spelled right.
Okay.
Is there any public comment regarding the April 19, 2016 meeting minutes?
So public comment specifically on the minutes.
Peter Warfield, I'm glad you're doing the minutes first. I'm not sure if the administrator was referring to the order being different, meaning that the minutes are coming first. But I'm glad to see that because that's where they should be and that's where the bylaws say they should be. I'm also glad to see some specificity. Let me just back up a moment. Certainly, the members might have listened to what I presume is the existing recording to make sure that the minutes are okay. I wasn't at this meeting either, but I appreciate that there is some specificity. For example, on item 3, that there was a policy that was implemented but not documented in written form. I appreciate that the committee expressed their concern over the fact that Rec and Parks is not documenting all of their existing policies. And that kind of specificity about what went on, I appreciate. And then public comment shows Alex Aldrich described his experience regarding the lack of documentation for existing Rec and Park policies. So I appreciate the specificity. It seems like it's more than I recall recently. And I would certainly recommend that somebody from the committee might, or you might split it up to listen to the recording to make sure that it does represent, in fact, what happened. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think that's it for
Is there
us.
an additional public
Yeah.
comment on the minutes?
Seeing none, let's move on to item 3, please.
Would you like to take a vote on that matter?
Oh, we didn't vote. Sorry.
On
Do
that
your thing,
matter,
Mr. Young.
regarding the motion to approve the minutes, Member Wolf?
Aye.
Wolf, aye. Member Kanata?
Aye.
Kanata, aye. Chair Fisher?
Aye.
Fisher, aye. Next on the agenda, item number 3, file number 16023, complaint filed by Nick Pasquarello against Mayor Edwin Lee and Steve Kawa, Office of the Mayor, for allegedly violating Administrative Code, Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.25, by failing to respond to immediate disclosure requests in a timely and or complete manner. Just to note for the record, the respondent did request a postponement of this matter. However, the complainant did not agree with that request and request that we proceed as scheduled. I believe that the mayor's office has their representative at today's meeting is Mr. Nasita.
Mr. Nasita, was it?
Am I
Nasita.
correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Nasita.
Otherwise, I believe the person who would usually be here would be Kirsten McCauley. However, she is at a planned event for the mayor's office that's been scheduled for many, many months.
Okay. Well, let's do what we can.
Jurisdiction.
Oh, do we have a motion for jurisdiction? Boy, I'm sorry, I'm so rusty.
Yeah. So moved.
So say so moved.
Is
So
there a
moved.
second?
Second.
Is there
Do
any
I-
public comment regarding
Yeah.
jurisdiction only?
Hearing none, let's move on,
We'd like to approve that without objection.
please.
The motion to find jurisdiction has been adopted without objection. 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yes, Mr. 'Cause so now we're going to hear from first the complainant, Mr. Pasquarello. Am I close there? You will have 5 minutes to state your case, at which point, and then if anyone has evidence to offer on your side, they can also speak for 3 minutes. If not, we'll go right to the respondent. So you have, as soon as you start speaking, we hit the button.
I could use the overhead projector.
Oh, well, don't hit the
Please.
button yet then. Let's turn ourselves.
Not sitting.
Chained? Okay. Just use that one. You got one? Okay.
Any way to zoom it so it all fits? Is there any way to zoom it so it all fits? Seems to be. Oh, there's a zoom there. Okay, I think that's a copy. It's a copy. But you can see the stamp of the mayor's office there. First off, I have to object to the printed agenda. I spoke to Mr. Young in the last 7 days, and as you can see from the original immediate disclosure request, the sunshine request is of Steve Kawa as the mayor's chief of staff and Edwin Lee as the mayor, the persons thereof. Nowhere do I use the words office of the mayor in my immediate disclosure request. I did speak to Mr. Young about this. He told me he would correct it. Mr. Young did not correct it. So can you correct the agenda? I should have
Please,
stood
I
up.
would suggest you make your comment and we can discuss.
Yeah, let's just go with the comments. I mean, we'll all
Okay.
correct it in our minds.
All right,
for
so
now.
here we go. So I filed an immediate disclosure request in person at the mayor's office, February 9, 2016. When I did not receive a response by February 17th, I filed a complaint with Victor Young, Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. And on or about March 2nd, I received a CD disc containing 3 PDFs totaling about 70 megabytes of data. None of these PDFs were responsive to my Sunshine request of February 9th. Nowhere is the name Steve Kawa nor Mayor Edwin Lee mentioned in these 3 files. They're not mentioned as any communication to and from these individuals, despite the fact that most of the monumental downzoning planning proposals, which this subject addresses, the mayor's bonus density program, these programs have stirred enormous citywide interest, and the planning department has itself held 30, I think this may be unprecedented, 30 community meetings on this subject. So if it need be cited, I mean, I've got a copy here, and you can have this for the record. The San Francisco Chronicle on September 29, 2015, ran a story. Headline reads, Lee wants deal to spur more low-cost units. The byline was by J.K. Dineen, D-I-N-E-E-N. And just to read you the first sentence, it reads, neighborhoods across the west side of San Francisco would see thousands of new housing units under a measure Mayor Ed Lee is proposing that would allow builders to exceed current height restrictions in exchange for including more affordable units. That's just the first sentence. Another article that appeared September 8, 2015, again within the time limit of my request, from the state's news service, reads, Dateline, San Francisco, California. The following information was released by the Office of the Mayor of San Francisco. Today, Mayor Edwin M. Lee, together with Board President London Breed and other members of the Board of Supervisors, set forth a blueprint to provide more than 10,000 permanently affordable homes to families and residents by 2020, the most critical component of the mayor's 2020 housing goal. That's just the first sentence. So it is simply beyond credibility to think that the mayor didn't read a single document or hold a single communication on this subject. His signature affordable housing program of his administration, nor that his chief of staff, Steve Kawa, who, by the way, gets paid, according to one watchdog website, over $250,000 to do his job, that he also had no communication whatsoever on this unprecedented program of downzoning enormous sections of the city. So on that basis alone, there must be some documents somewhere, and they've never sent them to me. And I think that's an ipso facto violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. Surely these are public documents. They affect everybody who lives in San Francisco. Like never before. Am I now into 10 seconds? Okay. Well, I think that's, in essence, my presentation. I appreciate your finding in my favor. Let's get the documents.
Okay, is there anybody in the gallery that has facts or evidence in support of the complainant? Seeing none, let's call up the respondent.
Chair
What?
Fisher,
Yes.
I'd just like to take a moment to comment on the title of this matter. Originally, the title read Mayor Lee, Steve Kawa, and the Office of the Mayor.
Okay.
The complainant stated that the complaint wasn't against the Office of the Mayor. So I removed the "and," but I still needed to identify that the remaining members were part of the office of the mayor. So it's Steve Kawa, office of the mayor, as he's
Got
a
it.
member of the office of the mayor.
The office of the mayor.
If the task force would like me to modify that title, I'd be happy to it if you provide language to me.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just looking at the complainant's request to file a complaint with the task force of February 19th. I don't see the words Office of the Mayor in here. It's in the packet on,
I was
Page
identifying
21.
the members.
Yeah, I was taking it as Steve Kava of the office of the mayor, like Lou Fisher of the Sunshine Ordinance.
oh, it says, I wish to file a formal complaint against Mayor Edwin Lee and Steve Cava. It's very clear.
I was identifying what office they belong to.
Right,
Okay.
as opposed to Steve Kava of the Planning Commission or
Okay.
something.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying. So you
that's-
just,
yeah.
it just is identification.
It's ID.
Got it.
That's
Okay.
why I'm okay with it.
Okay.
If there's any amendments you'd like to make, I'd be happy to do it. Mr.
Right.
Mr.
Nacita, Carl
Nacita.
Nacita, here on behalf of the mayor's office. As Mr. Young said, Kirsten McCulley, who's our custodian of records, couldn't attend today because she's communications lead for the Bay Area Women's Summit, which is being held today outside of City Hall. She, as Mr. Young said, asked that the task force reschedule the hearing so she could be here to address any questions, but the complainant denied the request. Just to note, in the 4 years that Kirsten has been our custodian of record, she's never asked to reschedule a hearing before. And she has been working on the summit for about a year now, so she was not able to miss it. With that said, I'm here to
I'm
respond. The complainant alleges that Mayor Lee and Steve Kava of the mayor's office violated Section 67.25 of the Sunshine Ordinance by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely manner or a complete manner. That's not accurate. On Tuesday, February 9th, the complainant came in person to the mayor's office in room 200 of City Hall. The mayor's receptionist received the public records request seeking the following documents, quote, all communications and documents relating to the Affordable Housing Bonus Program for the period of January 1st, 2015, up to and including February 9th, 2016. The requester insisted that all correspondence be done via U.S. postal mail. Upon receipt, the receptionist called Kirsten McCulley, who I said is the mayor's office custodian of public records, to come inside room 200 and receive the request and to speak to the requester. At that time, Kirsten came and spoke to the requester in person and explained to him that she would be writing a response to him explaining that although his request was an immediate disclosure request under Section 67.25A, it would not be treated as such because it would require staff to conduct a review of files in order to find responsive records, and it is not a simple, routine, and readily answerable. Again, for this reason, we would not be treating his request as one appropriately filed as an immediate disclosure request subject to 67.25, but as one which is subject to the normally applicable 10-day response time. Additionally, Kirsten explained to the complainant in person that the entire mayor's office would review their records for the request. On February 10th, the mayor's office sent a letter to the requester with this same information in writing. On February 10th, Kirsten sent the request to the entire mayor's office staff to review their records for documents requested. After the entire mayor's office staff reviewed their records, and after we properly redacted personal information, and after working with another city department regarding the request, we responded a second time to the complainant on February 17th, 2016, the day before the 10 days allowed. This response included approximately 60 to 90 documents, some with redactions of personal information. The office responded to the complainant the day the request was received in person, the day after the request was received and completed, and the day after the request was received and completed the request within the 10 days allowed by the Sunshine Ordinance. Additionally, before filing a complaint with the task force, the requester did not make contact in any way with the mayor's office or ask about the status of his complaint. Had he done so, we could have explained our processes again and the expected date of completion. For the foregoing reasons, there's been no violation of Section 67.25 with regard to not responding in a timely and complete manner to the complaint. and I hope you find this information useful. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay, is there anybody to offer any facts and evidence in support of the respondent? Seeing none, I guess now it's with the matter is with the task force, unless I'm a little rusty at this. So I have my first question. I'm going to start us off. Mr. Pasquarello, I feel like I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing that initially this was an IDR issue, and then we kind of worked through all that. But I kept hearing you say, I don't have all my documents, or I feel like something's missing.
I don't think I have a single document that shows any communication to and from Mayor Edwin Lee, the person of Edwin Lee, and Steve Kawa. Those two people on the subject of the mayor's affordable bonus housing program. There's no indication whatsoever that they had anything whatsoever to do with this program, which I don't know if I need to keep saying this, strains credibility. The mayor, unless you don't believe the press reports, this is the mayor's program. The mayor must have read something. He must have said something. He must have commented on it. He does have there's the mayor's office of housing, right? We know about that. But so presumably he had some communication with his own office of housing. Is that not common sense? Do I need to make a special request to clarify that? I think that's pretty clear. I don't know. I'm sorry if I didn't answer your question.
I've been doing this for a good couple of years now, and my standard question is, we're here to get you what you need. And what I heard from what you said is that you feel like you're missing something, but it's so hard to prove a negative.
I'm sorry, I'm not feeling a thing. I didn't bring, I have the discs if you want to look at them. And if you can find any communication between Edmund Lee and anybody on this subject, and between Steve Kawa and anybody on this subject, you will prove me wrong, but I don't believe there are they have not delivered to me such documents.
So you mean like an email or something like that?
I'm sorry?
You mean like an email?
No, they sent me a disc because as I said before, they sent me a CD, and it's about 70 megabytes. I think the other person referred to it. I have that. So they did send some documents, but they are not. Let me
clarify, you're going a different direction than I'm trying to go. You said on this document, or on this disc, sorry, there are documents, and you didn't see any communications between Mr. Kava and Mr. Mayor, or what kind of communications would you be looking for?
Any kind.
Handwritten notes or electronic mail messages, text messages? Okay. I was just trying to get a feel. I've got people asking questions on both sides. So, Mr. Wolf, why don't you go?
Even one. Just show me one.
Mr. Pasquarello, let me just ask some very succinct questions, because this is a complaint committee to determine whether this complaint should be heard by the task force. We're not going to adjudicate it here. Okay.
Actually,
we do.
We are adjudicating here.
And then the task. Let me clarify this for people that are new. We do adjudicate. We decide, if it is a 67.xx, whatever.
Right.
But our decision is not binding. It then goes back up to the full task force, and they will either say, okay, we'll agree with that, or they'll say, no, we want to hear it again. Is that correct, Mr. Young?
Having done this for a long time, too, it's my understanding that the complaint committee will determine whether there is actually a violation of that particular section or not.
That's correct.
And if there is, we'll make a recommendation to the task force. Are we speaking the same language?
Is that what I said?
Great. Okay. So it's not necessarily adjudicating it. It's whether it does meet a threshold of having violated the task force.
That's correct.
May I try to clarify,
in.
just to be sure we're on the same page? The procedure that was adopted by the task force about a year and a half ago was that the committees may hear the items, and they will send a recommendation to the full task force as to whether or not they believe a violation has occurred or not. The task force will either adopt that recommendation at their meeting or schedule a new hearing on a future date for a de novo hearing on the matter.
Okay.
So just to completely clarify, we basically, sorry, Mr. Kanat, we have three options. We determine, yep, there is a violation, and we send it up, or we determine there is no violation, but then the task force still hears it, or what has happened several times, especially with me, is this is too much, we cannot make a decision today, and then we do a de novo hearing with the full task force.
Okay.
That has happened, because we don't have the city attorney here, so there was one time where we really needed the city attorney, so
Right,
we just
and-
bumped it up.
Right, and that's was part of my concern, is because we don't have legal counsel here. It makes it a little difficult to adjudicate.
We are the triage nurses of the
Right,
Sunshine
I get
Ordinance
it.
right now, yes.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so let me continue with my questioning. So, Mr. Pasquariello, did you receive any, I'm not so concerned about the content of what's in what you got. That's not what is the part of the matter here. What's part of the matter here is, did you receive any documents specifically from Mayor Edwin Lee or from Mr. Steve Cava?
They're from the mayor's office. They're not from not from the persons of Edwin Lee nor Steve Kawa. They're from the mayor's office.
Okay, so Mr. Nieto, is that did I pronounce?
Nacito.
Oh, Nacito, I'm sorry. May I speak to you for a second, please? So the documents, I guess, that was on the CD that was sent to Mr. Pasquariello, who prepared that information?
So that was prepared by Kirsten McCulley, our custodian of records. Our process, as advised by the city attorney's office, is for every public records request we receive to check with the entire mayor's office staff for responsive documents. That includes Mayor Lee, that includes Steve Cava, that includes everyone down to our receptionist.
I can appreciate that. But the way the ordinance works is specifically asking a particular person who may have a specific piece of information or not.
Sure.
So doing the extra work, I can appreciate that for everybody. But here, the complainant was specifically asking for documents or information from specific people for a specific purpose.
Right.
And that, I think, is where the rubber meets the road here today.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Member Canada?
Yeah, Mr. Pasquariello, I have a question. Just so I totally understand what you received, are you saying that in that disc you didn't have anything that was originated and signed by the mayor or Mr. Kawa?
We're asking about content.
I'm asking, what you said you had nothing that, I'm trying to find out if there's nothing that refers to the mayor or Mr. Kawa, or if you're looking for documents that originated from them.
Yeah, this is hard to clarify. I'm repeating what I said before with all due respect. I hope this isn't getting too muddled.
We're here.
What I'm looking for, you're asking me what I'm looking for? You're asking me what came on the disc, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think the mayor's name may be on the disc at least once, but it does not indicate that he either sent or received or participated in any of the communication on this matter. Does that help?
I think so. Thank you.
Task force members, does anybody else have any questions? This is one of those shoulder shrug ones. Yeah. Go ahead.
How was a decision made as to if proper or all documentation was provided?
Mr. Nacita, I got a quick question for you. So, we're not going to go through the contents of what you sent, but were emails or correspondence included in this? Was that part of the request? Okay.
I believe the request was for all communication, so we would search
Okay. So you would have done a full...
things,
Okay.
emails, electronic communication, text messages, everything.
So, I mean, this complaint was originally, if I'm reading this right, Mr. Young, you can help me out on this. This was originally it was IDR, the 6725, the failure to respond, and we've all pretty much determined that since it was not simple, routine, or readily answerable, that it didn't come under that. But, I have a really hard time with I didn't get everything I needed, but it's all there. And this is one of the hardest things we do, is trying to prove something that's not there. So I'm sort of at a loss here. Member Wolf, save me.
So I don't know if this will save you or not, but maybe close. On page 19 of the packet, this is a response from Kirsten McCauley, Mayor's Office of Communications. And so it shows a little bit of chronology here.
Okay.
And so we are looking at the February 10th response, asking for or stating an extension, and then or just noting that it's not an IDR. But on the 17th, which is 7 days later, still within a 10-day period, she states in the first paragraph, please note that we're responding on behalf of the mayor's office only. Okay, and it's clear in Mr. Pasquariello's original complaint that he was asking from certain specific people and not from the whole department. So I just want to make that point clear because that is the complaint that's before us today.
Right, I'm going to, I think, respond to what I think on that is the complaint was to Steve Cava and the mayor, who represent the mayor's office. So, in essence, the mayor's office is the umbrella organization. It says right here is they're not responding on behalf of the OEWD, Economic Workforce Development, or the Planning Department, or city administrators. Member Canada.
Mr. Nacita, please. In this document, it does say that it's of the mayor's office, and it's recommending that the complainant contact other offices. But I thought you said that they ask everybody all the departments that work for or report to.
No, only mayor's office staff. We've got about 40 staff members within the mayor's office. Additionally, there's the mayor's office on housing, which for the purpose of sunshine requests and city budgets and everything else is a separate department, as is the planning department, as is the Office of Economic and Workforce Development.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a motion?
I will.
Or
Just a second. Mr. Nacito, one more thing. So I'm looking on page 22. Do you have a copy of
I'm
that?
sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Can you please show? And are you a lawyer, sir?
I'm not, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any explanation that you are either advised on as to what determines an immediate disclosure request or not?
So I think if it's a readily answerable, as in a document that we have ready to present, that we wouldn't have to search for, that isn't voluminous, that won't require an amount of time to search for, as would searching an email inbox for responsive documents. That would be readily answerable.
Okay, so that's not what the ordinance says. The ordinance provides for people to receive a 24-hour turnaround or less if they submit a request formatted in a certain way, which I'm looking at this particular request meets the bar, meets the threshold. If the request is voluminous, you can request that 10-day extension, okay? So I'm a little concerned that there was just an automatic response that this is not an IDR to kind of almost adjudicate it on the spot, and I don't necessarily agree with that. So I just wanted to ask if you had looked at it, had seen it, and whether you had maybe correlated it in preparation for today with the ordinance itself.
So I'm not our custodian of records, but looking at the request itself, Steve Cava, who is a representative of the mayor's office in a good faith effort to give the requester everything he wants to know about the affordable housing bonus program. We're going to ask all of our staff members, especially people like our housing advisor, who I'm sure works.
I understand, and again, I appreciate the effort to do that. It's
Right.
not my contention, and I think that's well beyond the call of duty to be able to do that. But the complainant was asking for specific information that was either held or in custodianship or stewardship of two specific people. And that's what's in contention here right now, okay? Again, I'm not disparaging in any way the mayor's office for spending the time and the effort to pull all the information that may be helpful for him, but he may have had some other idea about what he thought he might get from those two individuals, like a personal note or some written notes or something else that they may have in their possession. And I think that is, to me, when a person asks a specific person for items, that's more or less what they're looking for. Otherwise, I think he would have said, send me everything you have on affordable housing bonus program from the mayor's office of housing. All right, he would have said that, or the mayor's office of the mayor's office in general. And I think Ms. McCauley was appreciative of that because she's saying we're responding on behalf of the mayor's office and not from any other department that may have more information. Okay, but to me, Mr. Pasquariello was very clear in his original request by asking for information specifically from two people because they may have information other than what you may have collected that may be of more general nature. So, and I would just say if you can read 6725 with regards to how an IDR is created, it doesn't specify in context what it is for, how it's for, or how much of it is for, or any turnaround. It was meant for purposes also, let's say, for example, you were in a court case and something came up in your case and you realized, I need to get something from somewhere in city government and need it within 24 hours. That's a good reason to use an IDR. Or somebody is writing an article, they got a deadline, they need some information. That's another good reason. It's a type of reason. So that's a purpose. There's no real context as to why somebody, and there's no reason to try to break it down for the requester at that time. All right, so thank you very much, Ms. Nacito.
Thank you.
Let's see what we got here.
I'm waiting for a motion.
Yeah,
I don't have one. Yeah.
Rebuttals first.
Before we have a motion, we're going to allow both sides to rebut, correct? So we will go with the respondent first for 3 minutes. But before we do that, do I have any more outstanding questions from the committee? No. You're like my subtitles or my cue cards, Mr. Young. Thank you. Now we're going to move to rebuttals, where Mr. Nacita, you'll have 3 minutes to, answer any other questions, anything else. You have 3 minutes. Then we'll hear from Mr. Pasquariello again, and then we'll go to motions.
I appreciate the questions, and I will take a look at the ordinance again. As Member Wolf suggested, I just reiterate that this office responded the day of the request was received in person, the day after the request was received by mail, and completed the request within 10 days allowed by the Sunshine Ordinance. And again, before filing a complaint with the task force, the requester didn't make any request or didn't make any contact in any way with the mayor's office or ask about the status of his complaint. And we would have been happy to have explained our processes again and the date of completion, of expected completion, had he done so. But thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pasquariello. Can I get that? Nicholas, come on up.
It's easy to say, Pasquariello.
Pasquariello.
Give you a chance to practice your Italian.
I know. I'm from an Italian neighborhood. I should know this. So this is your closing statement. This is your chance to bring it home.
I think I'm a little bit confused in that this complaint is regarding the IDR, And it doesn't really matter to me whether it met, I mean, I did put that in the complaint. What's far more important is to get the documents. I am a little surprised there should be any confusion about what I'm asking for. Or that there should be, that you're making this distinction between getting any documents whatsoever, or the ones I requested. I didn't get the ones I requested. To put it another way, I'm looking for the way the mayor does his job to tell his departments, to give them guidance, to give them direction, to communicate with them. There's no indication in anything I've received that he's doing that. I can't believe you would not rule that is his job. We understand that's what the mayor, I mean, why is it called the Mayor's Office of Housing? I mean, what role does the mayor play here? How do we know what the mayor does? That's what I'm trying to determine. How do we know what Steve Kawa does? I spent some time trying to find a legal definition for what the chief of staff does. I went to the government document section of the main library, and they couldn't find any legal definition anywhere of what the chief of staff of the mayor's chief of staff does, even though he's getting paid over $200,000 for doing something. What does he do? That's my goal here. Find out on this subject, what role did this person play in formulating these crucial policies that, in fact, are before the Board of Supervisors today with the mayor's name on them. So that's another indication. The sponsor before the board today is listed on the agenda, if you look there, as Mayor Ed Lee. So the mayor's directly involved in these matters, but we can't get you can't get him to acknowledge that by showing us what communications he participated in on the matters, sending or receiving on this subject. I hope you will help me get the documents, and it doesn't sound like, frankly, that's where we're headed. I'm getting a little bit nervous that we're getting off the subject. I do not have any documents. I'm repeating this about how many times, forgive me for repeating myself. Two are from Ed Lee on this subject, two are from Steve Kawa on this subject, in what they mailed to me. It's just a smokescreen so far.
So I have a quick question for Mr. Young. Make sure I'm reading this right, because I've scrolled through everything. I was looking for the original request was documents under 67.1, but this complaint, and I don't mean to be narrow and pedantic in this sense, but this complaint is 6725, which is IDR. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's why we've been focusing on the IDR part of it.
Yes.
That was my question. Members?
Yeah, I would just clarify that you might think that it might be 6721 because the mayor's office had discounted that it was an IDR. And so if they were unresponsive for a regular request, then it'd be 6721.
Right.
But this was based on an IDR, which is 6725.
Yes, so I have nothing more to add. Does
Okay,
anybody else?
No.
Does anyone have a motion?
Yes.
This is, well, that's
I
fine. I was leading that way.
Okay. I move to find in violation of the Mayor Edwin Lee, and Mr. Steve Kawa in violation of 67.25.
Hang on, I'm scrolling. 25 has, 5 different letters after it, A through D. Do you want to be more specific or not?
Well, it's
A
kind
is
of
the
all
10-day.
inclusive.
Okay, that's fine, right? That's fine?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's a violation of 67.25 for failing to respond to a media disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner.
Correct.
So now we discuss, right, before?
Need a second.
There's a second.
Oh,
Would anyone like to second?
I'll second,
it's fine.
because I want to discuss.
We're still going to discuss it. So remind me, this is the discussion
You
period,
can
right?
speak about the motion at this time.
Yeah, I'm just trying to add up the dates. I mean, it was IDR, and, I have it all here on a timeline. And IDR gets thrown out a lot, and I believe it was Mr. Actually, it was you who said, if it's for an article or you're going to a hearing the next day. But I looked at this, and knowing what it takes to gather up documents, I didn't see this as simple, routine, or readily answerable. So I'm not sure which portion of, they did make it within the 10-day period, correct? Question mark?
No,
So which part of the IDR are you?
There are two factors here. One is they discounted it as an IDR completely. And that was both in writing from Ms. McCauley and from Mr. Nacito here in testimony. That I find to be incorrect, because if you read 6725, it is not contextual as to why anybody would file an IDR. It just allows people to file an IDR. And if it doesn't require an explanation as to why you need it. It just is a request for certain information within a certain period of time, and you've got to meet this threshold by putting immediate disclosure request across the top of the page and on the envelope or a subject line or a cover sheet, whatever. That's it. And all from that point forward, it only talks about deadlines and who should be collecting and delivering the information, and if it's voluminous or it needs to be gotten from a remote location. Before there was the internet, there used to be big storage areas, so it took a long time to go into and rifle through boxes to get information, so that they would have an additional 10 days. So that's the point, the first point. The second point is that it was not responsive to his request. His request was specifically to two people, okay, and not to the department. For instance, somebody can make a request of the Board of Supervisors. The clerk would respond to that on behalf of the whole Board of Supervisors, okay, as if it's the office of the Board of Supervisors. But anybody can make a request of any specific supervisor. That does not necessarily involve the clerk's interaction at all. It's specifically to that person and that person alone. They may have somebody in their office collecting the information on their behalf, but the presentation of it is from that person. It comes from that person. So that's what's before us today.
Okay, I'm going to get to you in just 1 second. I hear what you're saying. I'm still looking at 6725B, then voluminous nature, and having spent the last 25 years of my life converting things from paper to digitization and working in the technology field, even though we have it all accessible now in digital form and data, it still takes just as long to find stuff, and I think a lot of people here would agree to that. So I'm still kind of stuck on B, where the voluminous nature of information, or in a remote storage facility, or in this case, let's go with voluminous, or the need to consult with another department, warrants an extension of the 10 days. So I'm still sort of stuck on that. Member Canada, got something?
I'm a little confused on it because 6725 to me is the immediacy of the response. And if there is a provision for the custodian of the records to say this is too voluminous or to provide it in the day's period and ask for an extension, is that at their sole discretion? Okay. So to me,
Yes.
I'm more...
Correct, right, Victor?
So it seems like 6721 where the complainant didn't get what he was asking for would apply more here. And then, again, the how is that decided? How do, I agree with the complainant in that he's asking for the records from the mayor and Mr. Kawa, and he would expect to receive some type of documentation with their names on it or their opinions on what's going on, even if there is additional data in other departments. So that concerns me more than is this, was the immediate response extension valid or not. I kind of agree that to me, it sounded valid when I read the documentation that they should say, okay, this is going to take more than a day to get. But even with the extension, they didn't seem to get the data to satisfy the complainant.
Victor, I'm going to ask Victor a quick, Mr. Young, quick question. The complaint, though, we have to focus on the complaint of 6725, correct?
I'm not understanding that question.
I mean, we can't just throw out 6721. The complaint was.
I believe it's regarding 6725.
Right. I mean, I'm going with what's on the file, 160023. The complaint was a .25. I mean,
We're not.
it can be refiled in the future, right, on some other. Member Wolf.
Madam Chair, it is not, it's in the purview of the task force if they find that that any various parts of the code are violated and they find it within parts of the testimony and whatnot. That is specifically related to the case, as this one is. The thing here is 6725 is an extension of 6721. 6721 is the basis for the request of information. And I agree with Member Cantata that 6721B, which specifically says a custodian of public record shall, as soon as possible and within 10 days following a receipt for request of inspection or copy, blah, 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 of such a request. Okay, the extension of that is 6725, which allows for an immediate disclosure. So I agree. It begins with 6721 and it ends with 6725. Happy to amend the motion to include 6721B if that's to your satisfaction.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
I feel better about it, but I'm still caught up in this. You know, this happens all the time. We have one person saying, I didn't get my records, and then we have the respondent saying, I gave you everything I had. So if we vote 3-0 that it's 21B, and we send Mr. Nacita back to Ms. McCauley and say, find more records, and there are no more records, then, you know, what does that get us?
But, Madam Chair, the request wasn't made of Ms. McCauley, and it wasn't made of the office of the mayor. It was made of the mayor himself and Mr. Steve Cava, two independent individuals. Okay, if Mr. Pasquariello or any other requester had made a request of the office of the mayor, then this would be absolutely appropriate. I would completely agree with you.
You know, I think that both the mayor and Mr. Cava are busy running the city and probably don't respond directly to these. They probably have their staff do it. And isn't that what Ms. McCauley is, Mr. Nacita?
I will respectfully have to disagree with you on that because the law is the law. And the law is specific to a custodian, custodian individual, not necessarily a whole department. If a whole and this has happened before, if a whole department is asked, that's fine. People can do that. They've done it before. Problem is, with this task force, is when it comes to find a violation, there's no way to enforce it on a whole department. So it ends up dragging in the department head. Okay, and then the department head is the one who's responsible for everything. That makes it so messy. So the best advice that Mr. Young or anybody else that if a requester asks, how do I file a complaint, the best response is you file it against the person. You file a complaint against the person. Or how do I file a request? Ask somebody specifically. Get their name. Because then we have somebody who we could talk to. And that's really the function of how the process is supposed to work.
So, Mr. Young, in all the years I've been here and the complaints we've had against Mr. Cava or Mayor Lee or anybody else, they have a custodian of record or a staff member come in. They don't physically come in and address this body. So isn't that what Ms. McCauley, I'm getting her name right, is? That's why I'm at a loss here. I don't know enough about this department.
I am not speaking on anyone's behalf, but just throwing this out there, Mrs. McCauley could have responded on behalf of only Mr. Kawa and Mr. Lee and not the entire office.
Right. So this was directed to the right person who would have been speaking for Mr. Cava and Mayor Lee.
That is a possibility, yes. And she could have pulled out responses directly from Kawa and Mayor Lee and eliminated the rest of the mayor's office to make it easier for the complainant to sort through the documents.
So my comment of, we just end up sending this back to Ms. McCauley is correct, because she would be the one responding on behalf of the complaint directed directly at Mr. Cava and Mayor Lee.
Madam Chair, I don't think we're here to micromanage who's supposed to do what.
Yeah, I know, we're going down a
Okay, it's really
rabbit hole.
The complaint is specific, and that's where this whole thing begins. We can't. I think it's a little inordinate to try to figure out who does what where. The complaint is very clear. The complainant has asked for, the requester had asked for specific documents of two people. He got a response from the entire office for documents that he feels were not responsive and were not from the people he asked for. So that was the basis of his complaint. I think my motion is in alignment with that.
Can we clarify the motion then?
The motion is to find violations, I believe, has been modified to reflect 67.21B and the entire section 67.25, with the two main portions of it.
Wait, you're including 2.5?
I believe, yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to vote for that. So
We
do you
can
wanna-
divide the question if you like, once we get to it. I believe the two portions is regarding the extension itself being voluminous. The first part was regarding the extension of the time to respond to the IDR. The second portion of it was not responding to the request by providing a response of the entire office instead of two individuals.
So here's the deal. I'm a nice guy. I'm willing to give Mr. Pasquariello another bite of the apple on this with 21B. Let's see what the rest of the task force says, but I'm not going to vote yes on a .25. So do you want to split that, or
No.
do you want to?
If you want to make a motion to split it, then let's do that.
You can divide the question.
Oh, okay, I'll divide the question then. What does that really mean?
I believe the first one is regarding 67.25. That is regarding the,
So it's going to be two motions, Mr. Young?
it'll be turned into two motions,
That's fine.
yes. The first one is 67.25, and that will be regarding the extension of time to the IDR request. And the other one is regarding, correct me if I'm wrong, but 67.21B and 67.21B for not responding correctly to the request by providing too much information instead of the.
No, just that it was not responsive from the people who were requested
Was not responsive
by the
by Ms. Mayor Lee and Mr. Kawa. Those will be the two motions.
So those are two motions.
Yes.
Do we have to do two different seconds, or how does this
One,
work?
we can
No,
take
it's
public
just
comment on
divided-
both
it's-
items.
Yeah, just
Okay.
do one at a time. Take a vote on each one.
We're going to do each one individually.
Yes.
We can take public comment on both items at this time.
I would like to do public comment on both items together. So 3
Is there
minutes.
We can't do them both together because we're taking separate votes for each one, so it's public comment for each one.
No, it's to the call of the chair, actually. I can combine the public
And then
comments.
I move the decision of the chair.
You're going to have to explain that to me.
I disagree with your
Mr. Young,
position.
you've done this longer than I have. What
Basic Roberts rules.
are my options here?
I don't have an accurate answer this time.
Okay, well, I'm not going to waste any more time, but I'll get with the city attorney later on this. Let's, fine.
Would you
67,
like to
whatever.
allow public comment of standard time is 3 minutes? Would you like to allow
Actually,
public
it's
comment?
up to 3 minutes,
Yes.
right? So let's go a minute and a half on each. I don't think we have that many speakers, so let's see what we've got.
Okay, is there any public comment regarding The motion to find violation 67.21B and 67.25.
So go ahead, a minute and a half on each one.
The total time for public comment on the two motions will be 3 minutes.
Okay, come on up.
Peter Warfield, I'm Executive Director of Library Users Association, but speaking individually on this matter. First of all, up to 3 minutes means, well, let me back up a minute. I think the Sunshine Task Force, especially with new members, desperately needs to review piece by piece its own bylaws and bit by bit major portions of the law to understand what's involved and what the interpretations might appropriately be. Up to 3 minutes means I get to decide if I want to talk for 3 minutes, not the chair, because if the chair were able to decide, then that portion of the law would be meaningless. You could give me 5 seconds or 1 second or 10 seconds, and it would make the 3-minute provision meaningless. With respect to, so I think the Sunshine Task Force needs to review publicly, for its own purposes and the public, what's various aspects of its operations, how those function. Willie Brown famously said the E in email stands for evidence. So first of all, I'll say that I support both motions, but I'm not sure that you have fully found all the issues, and certainly I think it would be worth specifying them in the motion as to why is it that we're finding this or that violation. I'm very troubled by any interpretation, including that made in the minutes for the prior meeting of this place, that if a department determines, according to the minutes, that a public records request doesn't qualify as an IDR, then the requester must be so informed. I believe Mr. Wolf has the right idea, and that's certainly my idea. The department doesn't just ipso facto decide, well, this is not an immediate disclosure request, and it doesn't get to spank the requester right off the top. That's completely inappropriate. If you read the law carefully, what it says is this is generally the intention, but Section 6725B gives very specific reasons why there might be a request for an extension. It's still an IDR, and it still has to be responded to by the end of the next business day. There's no such thing as the department saying, oh, this is not an IDR. I think there are two key issues in this case, which I think you've appropriately found, and I think it should be specific: the timeliness of the response and the appropriateness or completeness of the response. They basically inundated him with a pile of stuff, none of which is what he wants, which is what did the mayor get or send, and what did the Mr. Kawa. I think there's an issue of withholding that I'm troubled by, and that is they talk generally on page 19 about documents withheld, and I don't see that has been fully discussed here. I think the question of timeliness is an issue because I think Mr. Pasquariello questions whether he got the response in a timely way. I think there is a dispute about that. So another minute. Appreciate it. So there's a great deal here going on, including sadly, I believe the city attorney has assisted with departments misunderstanding what an immediate disclosure request is. Section 6725 says, B, if the voluminous nature of the information requested, that's one exception, its location in a remote storage facility, that's another exception, or the need to consult with another interested department warrants an extension of 10 days, the requester shall be notified as required by the close of business on the business day following the request. It doesn't say it invalidates the IDR. It's an IDR if you, the requester, say it's an IDR. The respondent can say, well, it's going to be a lot of work and we need as much as 10 days extra. So I think the timeliness question, the nothing received, the withholding that hasn't been fully discussed here, all are issues, and certainly...
Statement. Yeah, good. Finish your sentence. Go ahead.
Certainly point to support for your two motions and more than support, but I would also just urge you, for the information of everybody, to possibly specify the specific actions or not action, the lack of action that makes you say this was a violation of this portion, and this was a violation of that portion of the
Okay,
law.
thank you.
Any additional public comment?
Hearing none, which order are we
We
going
can
to do
take,
these in?
on the motion to find violation, the 67.21B regarding the response itself being from the office of the mayor instead of from Mr. Kawa and Mayor Lee.
Oh, sorry, this is 21 we're doing, right?
So 21B.
Sorry.
On that motion, Member Wolf.
Aye.
Wolf, aye. Member Kanata.
Aye.
Kanata, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. On the motion to find violation of 67.25 regarding the extension of time to respond to an IDR request. On that motion, Member Wolf.
Aye.
Wolf, aye. Member Kanata.
Aye.
Kanata, aye. Chair Fisher.
No.
Fisher, no. The motion passes. These matters will be referred to the task force with the recommendations regarding those matters, and the votes will be placed into those recommendations.
Okay.
And just so you know, I will, regarding the question of time for individual motions, I will forward that question to Mr. DCA Cola.
Yeah, thank you. Because I know this came up back in 2012. Okay, can you call the
A
next?
copy of that recommendations will be mailed to both parties.
Okay, can we call the next items together, or?
I believe that would be appropriate as they're regarding the same subject matter for two sets of minutes on different dates. Item number 5, file number 16042, complaint filed by Ann Chabot against the War Memorial Board of Trustees for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.16 by failing to make the draft minutes of each meeting available for inspection and copying upon request no later than 10 working days after the meeting. This is regarding the January 14th, 2016 meeting. Item number 6, file number 1643, complaint filed by Ann Chabot against the War Memorial for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.16 by failing to make draft minutes of each meeting available for inspection and copying upon request no later than 10 working days after the meeting. This is regarding the meeting of the April 14th, 2016.
Okay, so jurisdiction, it nicely says that the trustees do not contest jurisdiction, so
I move jurisdiction.
I'll second that. And could we do that without objection then? 'Cause Mr.
Was the second?
I was the second.
And
Member
is there any
Kanata
public
nodded his
comment?
head up and down, so.
Is there any public comment regarding jurisdiction? There being no public comment regarding jurisdiction, it's my understanding that you'd like to pass that without objection.
Correct, thank you.
Would the complainant like to, as there are two items, would you still like to allow 5 minutes? Or would you like to make an
Ms.
extension of
Tribou,
time?
I'm going to let you guide this one. Do you need the full 10 minutes, or?
Yeah, because I want to show you on the internet their website.
Yeah,
I believe you're allowing 10 minutes for both items.
Yeah, it's probably a little more complicated, so.
I can't get on the server.
I'm fine with that.
Can you do this?
Yeah, can you help her, and don't start the
So-
clock yet,
Okay.
because remember. Oh my God, I was right in between. Come on. I was right in between. What part of Jersey?
Born in Patterson.
Patterson. Rockland, New City. Where? Oh, yeah.
May I ask,
SF.
do you,
I'm familiar with it.
I'm
sorry,
I'm from a suburb of New York. They call it
SFWM,
Yeah.
PAC dot,
Pay attention,
Or
New
G.
Haven. New Haven.
Manhattan.
I'm a New Haven girl.
I'm a Bronx guy.
Are you really?
I'm from Manhattan.
Or
Lower East Side.
Concourse, or
Near Marshallou Parkway.
we were one of those split families, Bronx, Brooklyn, Flatbush.
it's not being brought up by the laptop at this time?
I would have been born in Flatbush, but my mother went into early labor. My dad was at his interview at Yale. That was nice. Hi, I'm Dr. Fisher. My wife's in labor. here for my interview.
I can't get it up on the laptop at this time. It's not bringing up the website.
What's the website
Oh,
URL again? SFWPAC?
It's
SFWM, San Francisco War Memorial Performing Arts.
Okay. I apologize. Got it.
performingartscenter.org.
Correct.
WIMPAC? Yeah, I got it fine.
Yeah, I got it also.
Yeah, I get.
Laptop's not bringing it up.
Okay. All right.
Well, I have a Mac. We both have Macs, so we don't.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring dongles or anything to. I suppose I should look. Should we be looking at minutes?
Is there a specific page you wanted us
Yeah,
to look
probably
at?
minutes or. Oh yeah, I see virtual tour. It's under rent and virtual tour. Oh, I have to run Flash. It's part of the tour? Yeah, yeah, you're. I'm gonna, yeah, dining trustees, tenants. Is it under about? Oh, public notices? Oh, there it is, public notices. Oh, sorry, public notices, under, sorry, notices, public notices, trustee agenda. And minutes, yeah. By the way, nice job on the, you renovated, right? Yeah, looks nice. Haven't been yet. Okay, so I'm seeing the agenda and minutes. And I've got January, the most recent one here is April of 2016. Oh, but then,
2014.
sorry, then I see some specials for May 12th.
Yeah.
Would you like
You
to
can
start
look
the
on with me.
presentation?
Yeah.
I will share with my neighbor.
Okay, so
Let's get that 10 minutes going.
it's going. Okay, so you're taking the first two files together. So the way I'm looking at this is I'm referring to page 81 in your packet, which was the initial complaint that I filed. And it's the same discussion as the previous complaint, that it was not generically the San Francisco War Memorial trustees that I named, which is the title of these two complaints. It's the recording secretary, Jennifer Norris, who was responsible. Just basically the way this came about was I went to one of their meetings. No bad intention at all. It was very different and interesting to me to see something different. So basically, I spoke under public comment, and it was not really recorded to my satisfaction. Just a one-sentence thing was not at all what the gist of what I said. So I began looking at their website, and specifically at the agendas and minutes meetings from 2009 to the present. It is a 5-year record retention policy. So what I found was of the War Memorial Trustees minutes, those that are missing are 2 special meetings from 2009, 10 special meetings from 2010, 3 special meetings from 2011. From 2012 were 5 special meetings. 2013 were 7 special meetings. And 2014 were 7 special meetings. So also what I noted was the agendas and the minutes have no dates and times that they were posted. Normally on the bottom you might see a date and time, somebody's initials or so. None had that information on it. So also noted that no draft minutes were ever posted. Basically, they have their monthly meeting. They approve the minutes for the previous meeting, but it's an entire month where there's nothing posted at all. There has never been a posting of draft minutes, which is why I would request an audit of the minutes and of the agenda. There is a section in their agendas which is interesting and different. It's talking about written correspondence. If people write letters to them, they're going to notate it. Sometimes they publish the entire content of the letter. At other times, they just refer to it. So I called and asked, because I had submitted a letter, what their policy was, and I was told on the phone that there was no limit to the amount of words that could be in it. And so, but when I saw at the second meeting I attended that it wasn't there, or parts of it were not there. I called again and I was told, oh no, we changed our policy. So I sent an information request to ask them, what was your written policy concerning the agenda, the minutes, and the written correspondence? And they said they had no written policy. So the phone call that Jennifer Norris referenced, and I do want to bring it back to page 81, I filed this initial complaint form on May 2nd. So I held it until May 3rd. I thought that I would call and I would have a conversation with them rather than have a full-blown hearing. So what I explained in the phone call on May 3rd was that the minutes were not posting in a timely manner, and this seemed to be a long-term thing. And I also referenced the fact that several of their War Memorial trustees had not filed their sunshine declarations. And she demanded to know which ones, and I just slammed down the phone. So I felt like I don't work for the city. I'm just an interested person, and they are passing some things that concern the average citizen of San Francisco, money, things going on with the opera, and this is a transparency issue that people have a right to know about it in a timely fashion. So with the agenda issue, that's the third one, right? We're not taking that one right now.
Not at this time.
Not at this time. That's a whole separate thing. So just basically reiterating, this is not a one-time thing. I did come over here after she slammed down the phone. I came to the clerk's office. Victor was away. And I did, verify with the clerk that on May 3rd that the minutes still were not up, which is why I filed the complaint. So, okay, so the minutes came up about a half an hour later, but what I'm trying to demonstrate to you is that this is not a unique occurrence. This is a long-term problem with the War Memorial. These are meetings. They are not taking place in City Hall, but they are required to post the minutes. And there are 10, 24, 33 special meetings that haven't posted. That's a significant amount. And if you look at the content of their agenda, they are dealing with some, rental revenues, booking things, veterans, issues with veterans and things going on in there. And I would say that, it's kind of serious. And I think the audit of the minutes and the agenda would be very important. I think somebody should kind of look over their shoulder to see from this point going forward if they're doing things in the right way, because it's been going on for a long time. That's basically it. Not a one-time occurrence at all.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask, do we have anybody to offer facts and evidence in support of the complainant? Seeing none, come on up. Is it Ms. Norris? Just for the records, your name and your executive director title, yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Norris. I'm the Executive Secretary to the War Memorial Board of Trustees and the Deputy Director of the department. Indeed, Ms. Trudeau contacted me by phone on May 3rd at approximately 11:30 in the morning. She stated that the January 14th minutes of the War Memorial Board of Trustees regular meeting were not posted on the department's website. I told her that the January 14 minutes were approved unanimously by the War Memorial Board in public session during a special meeting on February 18, 2016, and should have been posted to the website immediately thereafter. I apologized that due to an oversight, they were not posted. I told Ms. Trudeau that one of my colleagues typically posted them after the meeting, but in this case, it did not happen, and I apologized for failing to notice this lapse. We both noted in our conversation that the minutes of the February and March meeting minutes had been posted according to our usual procedure, i.e. within 48 hours of the minutes being approved by the board. As soon as I hung up the phone, I sent an email to the colleague who posts the minutes to request the oversight be corrected. And the January 14, 2016 minutes were posted to the War Memorial website within 30 minutes of my conversation with Ms. Trudeau. Ms. Trudeau has contacted me several times about the January minutes and our steps to rectify the situation immediately. She's expressed to me her feeling that we corrected our error in an effort to thwart her efforts to demonstrate that they were missing. This is not the case. We were merely trying to correct a simple mistake in a timely manner. They certainly weren't there. I apologize that they weren't there. It was an oversight. They were approved in general session, distributed publicly. Had anyone asked for them, obviously I would have provided them immediately. I didn't realize they were missing. So that's what happened in that case. In the second case, 16043, Ms. Trudeau filed against the War Memorial Board of Trustees for allegedly violating Section 67.16 by failing to make draft minutes of each meeting available for inspection and copying upon request no later than 10 working days after the meeting. This was in regard to the April 14th, 2016 draft minutes. In the same conversation of May 3rd, at 11:30, the complainant requested a copy of the draft minutes of the regular meeting of the board on their April 14th meeting. The draft minutes were emailed as a Word document attachment to the complainant at 12:16 on the same day, May 3rd. And so the draft minutes were provided as soon as they were asked for, which I think is not in violation of anything. They were available for inspection and upon request. Had somebody come into the office, I would have provided them. If you contact me and you'd like them electronically, I send them to you. I don't typically post the draft minutes to the website, but as far as I know, that isn't actually part of the law, that they just need to be available for inspection, and they are. And so that's how I would answer that complaint. All right. Do you have questions that I could help with?
We'll be getting to that.
Okay.
Is there anybody? I see you have a colleague here. Is there anybody that wants to offer facts or evidence in support of the respondent? Seeing the nod of the head, no. We will move on to
Your questions.
our questions. I'm gonna let my task, since I jumped all over them, I'm gonna let my task force members start. I'll look left first.
I just have a question amongst us for clarification on 6716. Should I ask
Yeah.
that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So
It's only three of us.
I'm reading 6716.
We're nice guys.
and the first part of it states what should be in the minutes. And then it says the draft minutes should be made available for inspection and copying upon request no later than 10 days after the meeting. And the officially adopted minutes, the same thing, shall be made available for inspection and copying upon request no later than 10 working days after the meeting in which they are adopted. Nowhere in here does it say they have to be on a website. So that's my confusion about both of these.
This was published in 1999. It was probably written, and remember Wolf could probably add, probably written and conceived in like 96 and 97 when, everybody was talking HTTP://. You have something to
Okay,
add?
so that it does actually mention the internet in
several places.
in the code. If you look at 67.9,
Regarding minutes, though?
regarding all documents,
okay.
regarding meetings are concerned, where meetings are concerned. In the in 67.9A, agendas of meetings and any other documents on file with the clerk of the policy body which, when intended for distribution to all,
Could we shorten this? Just go to the,
or to a majority of all of the members of the policy body in connection with matters anticipated for discussion or consideration at a public meeting, shall be made available to the public. To the extent possible, such documents shall also be made available through the policy body's internet site. So minutes are part of that package.
Thank you.
Now, I would contend that draft minutes, generally, they're made available 10 days in advance. It's questionable as to whether draft minutes are to be posted up on the website, but they must be done and made available within 10 days for sure. But the official minutes are posted. I'm not clear the precedent. The thing is, it's about, you got to go with precedent. You know, if they have in the past have generally done this, then okay, then maybe there's a violation here with regards to the draft minutes. The question becomes, what about the approved and adopted minutes?
Right.
The other question I have, I don't know if it applies to here, but I don't know whether minutes from a regular meeting can be approved during a special meeting, whether those things need to be separated or not, usually is a matter with the policy body themselves, I think, and their own bylaws. And without that, in the bylaws would follow, I guess, the Board of Supervisors or some other precedent.
so I have just one question, Ms. Norris. I mean, you freely admitted, it's in our packet, that mistakes were made here, and I guess, the question I always ask the complainant is, did you get everything that you wanted? And so I'm just asking you, your opinion, or factually, because I'm not going to go through your whole website, is everything caught up? Because you are certainly not the first department. In fact, you're barely in the top 10 of departments over the past few years who have come here and had to do a little catch-up with their agendas and minutes and stuff. So, join the crowd.
I don't believe it was a catch-up issue. It was merely an oversight on the part of the person, and I don't actually, have to confess, have the skill to do it myself. So I ask someone to do it, and they tell me they do it, and sometimes, and of course, I've now added a step because it's Murphy's Law, whatever, perfect storm. It's happened twice in the last 4 months. I would bargain to say it hadn't happened, to my knowledge, in years past that one had gone missing, but it had.
And so, to just, kind of draw on what Member Wolf said, a lot of the stuff we do here has to do with precedent. And while, I guess, from what I've seen in the years I've been here, you're kind of a first-time offender. But we have precedent of so many other departments that have had this same problem. So we're probably going to, get you on some minor violation that you have admitted to. And then, but my recommendation would be just, kind of keep an eye on it. I mean, if it gets really bad, you eventually spin around in a big boomerang and come right back to this committee when it is compliance and amendments. But, that's probably the direction we're going to go on this. But I do want to hear what my colleagues have to say. You're okay?
Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Because we have to do public comment before we do.
I do have one question for Ms. Norris. The complainant also suggested that there were a lot of other meetings over the course of numerous years that didn't have minutes posted.
Yeah, I'm happy to go back and take a look at that. I was handed it right this minute, so I'm not prepared to respond to it. I'm happy to respond in writing to it, and then you can decide if you want to talk about it more. But right now, I'm not ready to respond to something that...
Yeah, let's stick with what's complained.
I think we should address what's before us at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now is the time when we do any further questions.
And then rebuttals.
Are there any more questions before I move to rebuttals? Seeing no more questions, I'm sorry, Ms. Norris, come on back up and rebut. You have
How much time would you like to allow for rebuttals?
3 minutes. Or however many,
Yeah, I don't.
Or fewer.
I have nothing new to add to what I said previously. So my time is up.
Thank you. Mr. Boo, you have, well, I mean, you can have 6 minutes if you want.
From
Be a
2009
nice guy here.
until the present, we're a total of 34 minutes that have not posted. That is probably at least a quarter of their meetings.
Just for the complainant's information, these complaints are regarding 2 specific dates and not the entirety of all their minutes. If you'd like to file a separate complaint regarding all of their minutes, you can do that. Thank you.
I think that
Okay.
you should, go ahead.
Yeah, the rebuttal's done.
It's in the hands of the committee.
It's in the hands. Does anybody have a motion here?
All right, I move find violation of San Francisco, what is the actual War Memorial Board of Trustees, in violation of 6716 for April 14th, minutes of April 14th, 2016, and what was the other date?
January 14th.
January 14, 2016.
So
I second.
Oh, right, we have a second. So before we take public comment, yeah, we'll make some mention in the notes that, I mean, this is not just, it's us here. It's not meant to be punitive in a way, but we really, we do have to officially make a record of this. So but let's see where the votes go. Should we take public comment before we?
Yes.
Do I have any public comment from anyone? TikTok, seeing none. Should we just do the roll call?
Yes.
Vote?
I had one question. I believe during the discussion, we were talking about regarding the April 14th, that as that being a draft minutes, that it may not have been necessary to put them online, but
I don't know, but it's based upon precedent. And so I'm not clear as to, because I have no, the question is I got to look at the totality of things.
Okay.
If whether it's draft minutes or regular minutes, they're to be provided to the public and available. If the section 67.9 gives the guidelines, then I'm going to go with the guidelines, and the guidelines is any information. So I'm just going to leave it all inclusive. If the task force wants to take up that issue separately, then I'll leave it to the task force.
thank you. I just wanted to get that clarification.
So should 67.9A also be in the motion?
Well, I mean, it's implied. To me, it's implied because that's the process. I would maybe reference it as information for the task force, that the guidelines are in 67.9, but the violation is 67.16.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I will reference 67.9.
Is this this is a question for you, Mr. Young. Is this going to, are we going to discuss this at the July 6th meeting, or we'll go all the way into August?
Well, depending on the timing of, it will not be on, I do not believe I have time to prepare it for July. It'll probably be the meeting after that.
Okay, so, well, let's finish. I can't give you any instructions until we finish the motion.
comment
so
on that motion.
Hearing none. Public comment. I already said it once. So hearing none, let's go with the.
On that motion, Member Wolf.
Aye.
Wolf, aye. Member Kanata.
Aye.
Kanata, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes.
So since,
This matter will be, this recommendation will be provided to the task force at the next meeting, most likely in,
can I add
The
a
August
chair's
meeting?
comment to it, though?
yes, you can add.
Just because by August, you know what happens at these meetings, I go, well, what did we say? So you just make a note that, Chair Fisher is doing this as, sort of a record keeping and not meant to be
I will
punitive.
do
I don't
something-
have any recommendation to send them to some other committee yet,
I understand. I will prep that and provide it for your review.
but we're watching you.
Item number 7, File number 16054, complaint filed by Ann Chabot against War Memorial Board of Trustees for allegedly violating Administrative Code Section 67.7 by failing to post a current agenda on its internet site at least 72 hours before a regular meeting. I believe there's a specific meeting involved, but I did not note it on today's agenda.
June 9, 2016.
Is there a motion on jurisdiction?
Yes. I move that we have jurisdiction.
Second.
Is there any public comment regarding jurisdiction?
Hearing none.
Would you like to pass that without objection?
Please. Yes.
Ready?
Are we ready?
Okay, so once again, I think the heading of this should be amended to include Jennifer Norris because she's the recording secretary and the person responsible. And basically the narrative is that I was watching their website. I knew they had a meeting once a month. I didn't know exactly when. So around about June 7th, I wasn't seeing anything coming up either in the minutes or on the agenda. So it was not a fault that somebody posted this in the wrong area incorrectly. There was nothing in either area. So from June 7th until June 9th, I called the Jennifer Norris's number a couple times. Nobody answered the phone. So I wasn't sure whether a meeting was going to take place or not. And the way they do things is a little unique. They will not let you up into the Opera House until they can confirm that they have a quorum. That would be Bill Graham, the security guy. He's going to be out there watching for the trustees' cars. He's going to make sure the cars are parked and that they come into the building. It's kind of different. So once there's a quorum of trustees having gone into the building, then the public can go in. So it's not a matter of going in a building and seeing if something's posted on a door. So I basically didn't want to lose an entire day standing in front of a building to see if a meeting was going to take place or not. I called a couple times. There was no answer. From the 7th until the 9th, there was no answer on the phone at all. I sent an email asking, was this meeting going to take place? I didn't get a response. So I called Victor Young a couple times, especially on the 9th, asking him, well, what is going on here? I mean, it's well into the 72-hour time period. It's probably an hour before the meeting, and there's nothing up. So I'm not going to run up and stand in front of a building to see if a meeting's going to take place. So once again, I was monitoring both the agenda and minutes section, and nothing posted in either part. There, in the packet that I gave were the emails that I sent, copies of that, and I think it was about 45 minutes before the meeting started that this agenda just suddenly popped up. And once again, there's no notation on the bottom of any of their agendas or minutes to tell you that this thing posted on a certain date, a certain time, initials of somebody just popped up. So how many times has this happened? I have no idea. It happened this time. Their response that some other person mistakenly put it in the minutes section is erroneous. There was nothing in the minutes section. And that's it. It's just another reason to monitor or see or watch or whatever. And, I think that these things should go to a subcommittee. I think they should be have an audit of the minutes and the agendas. I think that the person's name and initials and dates should be posted on these things the way other departments do. And that's basically it.
Okay, is there anyone to offer facts and evidence in support of the complainant? Seeing or hearing none, let's hear from the respondent.
All right. Once again, I fully admit that we made a mistake. First of all, our board meets on the second Thursday of every month. That is posted on our website. Ms. Trudeau is aware of that. The agenda that was missing it's always posted on the exterior door of the Opera House, so it's always available. It was also at the library where it needs to be. We had a change in employees. City Hall hired the newest special event manager over here, John Calden, was my employee in charge of doing this work, posting agendas. I have somebody new and temporary in the position and had sent them the agenda to be posted. And when we received the call from Victor to say, hey, your agenda is not there, I asked her about it. And she said the email that she sent to me, which I believe to be true, was upon going to the website to look at the agenda for today's meeting, I realized that last Friday, when you gave me the agenda and supporting documents to post, I had inadvertently posted the placeholder document, which says the information that you requested is not yet available, under agenda, and the agenda under the minutes link. I apologize for my error going forward. I'll make sure to do a more thorough check. So, and in terms of, I don't think it's very helpful to get into he said, she said in this particular forum. I'm not sure that it serves us particularly well, but I would say that I don't believe there is any email evidence that says that Ms. Trudeau asked me for the agenda in any way. I certainly received nothing. I don't believe in your packets anything exists because I don't think it exists. And I can't be held responsible for phone messages that aren't left. So if you call me and I don't answer the phone because I'm not at my desk, I can't know that you want something from me. Finally, I am aware that Ms. Trudeau spoke directly to our security director about this meeting several times in anticipation of June 9th, so she was aware there was a meeting and could have at any point in time pointed out that this was missing and helped the public. If the purpose really is to help the public have transparency and know what we're doing, she was aware this was missing long before I was and took no steps to correct that beyond drawing it to your attention. So that's what I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone that has any facts or evidence in support of the respondent? Okay, hearing none, I'll open it up. I'll open it up to my colleagues on the task on the what are we on committee? Go ahead. I'll go to the right this time.
Mr. Young, is there the complaint from Ms. Trudeau? Is that in the packet? Can you tell me what page it is?
One moment.
Yeah, I saw the one for the first one, but not for this one. This one was very short.
Oh, I see it. It's on page 12. It's kind of just a simple email. The attached is the space where the June 9th, 2016 War Memorial Trustee agenda should be. It is now 72-hour time before the meeting, and the agenda is not posted. Please open a file and schedule a hearing.
Oh, is that what on? Yeah, it's page
okay.
112 if you're a full packet person like me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
page 12.
So that's the complaint?
Okay, that's the complaint. So, Ms. Trudeau, I have a question. You stated that you went to the War Memorial Building, and did you see an agenda there?
No, I had been to two previous meetings, and basically from their website it says carriage house door, so it's a specific door that you're going to go to, and the building is actually closed. So the first two meetings I was asking people, where is this carriage house door? And it's right in, almost directly across. Is
The front door?
No, it's on Grove Street, right? Is that
No, it's the right. There's a garden, and it's right there.
Oh, it's here.
It's right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So from the first two meetings that I attended, I didn't see anything. In fact, it was confusing to me. I asked the guard, can I go in? Do you know where the place is? No, you have to wait. So basically what I noticed is that when these cars are coming up this drive, but they're going to be parked, and if it's a trustee and they go in, they're going to see if there's enough for a quorum and then let you up. I didn't notice that anything was made available. In fact, unless somebody is going to show you how to get up these back stairways, it's a little bit confusing to even get to the room. Can I also clarify one point? I did have a conversation with the security director several days before, but it had nothing to do with this meeting at all.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Norris, may I ask you a question, please? Where do you normally post your agendas for the trustees' meetings?
On the front, well, I normally post them on the website.
Right.
I send them to an extensive list of people.
Let's say the website is somewhat tertiary,
Okay.
because what's physically posted is actually primary.
They are taped to the front door of the War Memorial Opera House,
On what block, on what street, facing what street?
facing Van Ness.
Facing Van Ness. And for this particular meeting in question, were they posted there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Ms. Trudeau, are you telling me that agenda was not posted there?
The agenda, I don't know, because I didn't even know the agenda posted anywhere. I looked on their website. It says go to the carriage house door, and that's,
Don't you go to the front door?
it's locked. The building, the
Yeah, I
entire
know, but
building is locked.
aren't the agendas posted there? Do you know that they're posted there on a regular basis?
I had been to 2 meetings previous. I did not know. No one told me. I just kind of found my way going around and asking people and going up in the building, trying to maneuver.
Okay, that wasn't my question. My question is did you go to the front door? Did you see the agenda?
No, I did not, and I did not know to go there to see the agenda.
Okay, so you didn't go to the front door.
I didn't know I was
Okay,
supposed to.
that's fine. So your regular method for finding agendas is on the internet, correct?
No, it would be the same method that anybody would find in a meeting room in City Hall. You might find it to the right of the meeting room on a board somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You might find it on the front of the door if there were a cancellation or something were to happen. You might find it in a general place. If a member of the public was going to go there, and you can see by their website, attend a meeting, you think that there's, here's the buses that you go to and this and that. There would be accommodating enough to tell you where to find the agenda on their website. It's common sense.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I don't have anything. Does anybody else? Member Kanata? You're good.
No.
Rebuttals? Rebuttals?
Oh, God. We didn't do that yet?
No.
I thought we did. Okay. Ms. Norris, you have 3 minutes of rebuttal time. You can pass, or you can...
Just to clarify, the meeting minutes are also posted directly outside the War Memorial Boardroom. The Opera House is not a public building, so it is locked whenever there's not a meeting or a performance. We can't just leave people wander through the Opera House all day. So it's posted on the exterior and on the interior. So if you were outside the room, you would be able to see what the meeting agenda was also, and it was posted there. Thank you.
Wait, I'm sorry. That was not responsive to what the question that I asked just before.
Well, go ahead, clarify. Go ahead.
Ms. Norris, I'm a little confused now. You're saying that the meeting agenda and the minutes are posted outside the room?
They're
not the building?
both places.
Okay, in both places. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Trudeau? Your rebuttal?
I would just like to add that I've been to 3 of the meetings. It's a very small room. It's more like a boardroom, and with a few rows of chairs, enough to accommodate maybe 15 people at most. So I don't think these are meetings where members of the public just sort of wander in off the street. They seem to be concerned with the functioning and running and food, and the veterans often come with their issues there. So for a member of the public to just sort of stumble in the way I did, it is confusing. How would I know to look at the front of a door of an opera house to find a meeting that was taking place. I don't think a general person would do that. So I do recall making remarks at the first meeting saying, where's the beeping sound? People are talking over 3 minutes. It just seemed to be the same people that attend those meetings, almost informal in a way. But when you have an agenda that doesn't post and people are not made aware of it, how are you supposed to know? And it did not post in the minutes area either, the way they contended.
Do you have any motions? Because I don't have one.
I mean, I motion to find violation of 67.7, the
67.7, you're really going something I didn't even...
67.7.
67.7.
the respondent admitted that they hadn't...
67.7, okay.
That they hadn't posted, so that's...
I'll
That's,
second it.
yeah, so like just, yeah, A, B, C, D, well, we'll just go with 67.7.
Any additional motions?
We have a second. I'm not hearing any.
Yeah, I would, let's see. I had 67.7 A and C. Because the other, like E, doesn't really apply because we're not talking about the content of the agenda. We're just talking about the specific posting.
Yeah, that makes
Would
sense.
the mover like to accept that recommendation?
Yes.
That'll be a recommendation for violation of 67.7 A and C.
Correct.
Would you like to take public comment on that motion at this time?
Do I have any public comment on that motion at this time? Hearing none, let's move.
I just have one thing to say. I just want to say that I don't find it compelling that, a posting of an agenda or any of the other documents with regards to meetings on the front door of a building is appropriate, as I would expect on any other for any other meeting in that kind of way. I did look at a number of the agendas for the Board of Trustees, and all it states with regards to the north carriage door is just that the entry for the meeting is at the Opera House north carriage door. But I believe that the postings, if they're on the absolute front door of the building, that is absolutely appropriate, as it would be for the front of this building or the front of a library or the front of any other any other meeting where a public meeting is taking place. And especially if the building, I find it weird, and I probably don't know that this building is not a public building, but either way, that public meetings are happening in non-governmental buildings, like 25 Van Ness or 1 South Van Ness, that the meeting agendas be posted outside the building or they could be seen from outside the building if the building is to be locked. So I'm not necessarily contending on that particular issue. I think we're specifically focused here on the absence of it being on the internet. Thank you.
Is there any public comment on that motion? Or did we
already called?
We already called.
My mistake.
Last chance, public comment, hearing none. Let's,
On that motion.
can you it's 2, we've got 2, right?
On that motion,
Or it's
it's one
7,
motion.
okay, but it's 67.7.
A and C.
A and C, I can live with that. Okay.
Member Wolf.
Aye.
Wolf, aye. Member Kanata.
Aye.
Kanata, aye. Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Fisher, aye. The motion passes. This recommendation will be provided to the full task force for review.
Can you make a note?
Yes.
Because in August, I'm going to forget. This still comes
I will
under...
provide the same note.
This still comes under the first offense kind of thing. This isn't like, oh no, this is now the second.
Yes,
So
I
it's
will note
all one. But I'd like to see those agendas posted like on a website or something, because I don't even know what a carriage door is, so, yeah. Oh, no, I know what it is. I'm clearly on the wrong task force. Your people get parking? I'm going to join yours. The place is beautiful.
Next on the agenda is item number
is-
8, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction but not on today's agenda.
So to clarify, anything that was not on the agenda can be commented. Mr. Pitts, are you going to be commenting? You'll have 5 minutes? Is that what we
3.
do? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. 3 minutes.
I sent several emails to the staff regarding when I would be getting a hearing regarding my 2 issues that are pending. It's been a week or so, and I haven't got any type of response. So I'm trying to figure out when will my hearings regarding 2 of my cases will be heard. I'd like some correspondence with the chair and some of the members of the board. When I filed my complaints, originally they were thrown back at me by the staff. So I don't know if this is willful for him to obstruct me from filing or not, but I'm looking for a response from some of the some of the members of the committee. I can give you my card if you want. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would like me to provide a brief response?
Please.
Mr. Pitts filed 2 complaints approximately several months ago. One of them was against HSA. The other one was against a nonprofit agency. I did provide information to him that complaints against the task force usually does not have jurisdiction against nonprofits, and that those complaints should be filed directly with the department who has the contract with the nonprofit pursuant to Administrative Code 12L.
Right, it's a 12L.
Yes. However, Mr. Pitts requested that the task force makes that determination, so that complaint is still pending determination of jurisdiction by the task force.
Is it? I mean, 12L has a certain threshold. I can't remember the amount of money. But
If a nonprofit received $250,000 or more from
250.
city,
Right.
from a city agency, they are required to comply with certain requests. It is not as intensive as 67.7. It's most likely related to financial information. Additional information is is provided on a voluntary basis by the nonprofit agency. But that's, and Mr. Pitts made a request that I not schedule his items for a certain period of time. I did receive his email stating that he is ready for them to be scheduled, and I believe I do not know when that will occur, as I do not plan that far out. The agendas for this task force are already set for the next month or 2, and I did not provide any answer. I believe I did state that I received his request, but I did not provide any dates because I do not know at this time.
Okay.
Well, considering he threw them back at me in my face, I mean, he should have at least responded like that. We're really full. Maybe we'll put it on the agenda
Okay.
sometime.
Mr. Pitts, we'll look into it.
But I mean, I'm also saying it's not his job description to adjudicate the San Francisco Administrative Code in a window.
We'll look into it.
12L, whatever he calls it. If I was asking for information from the state of Illinois, it's not his description to
Public comment is
adjudicate
over,
it.
Mr. Pitts.
Mr.
So you're
Pitts,
going to
yeah.
press my voice again, right?
No, let's we've heard your public comment, so we'll look into it. Thank you. Mr. Young, where are we? The next item?
There's no additional public comment? There's one additional public comment.
Not on today's agenda, but you know that.
I just want to speak to the fact that you guys are not supposed to look into the motivation about why a person files a complaint, or what is going on, or that kind of thing. You're just very narrow and specific about about the Sunshine Ordinance, and that's a good thing, but I just want to clarify that in many of my complaints, I did not do them maliciously at all. I think if a person is inconvenienced or their public comment wasn't recorded correctly for whatever reason, I mean, it is hard to come here and spend time, but so very often this happens, and I think with a lot of departments it has gone on for a long time. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
There's no additional public comment at this time. Item number 9, announcement, comments, questions, future agenda items, and pending calendar.
Are those bullets for you or for us?
There are 2 items pending before this committee. It is my anticipation that they should be scheduled
This
at the next.
committee, compliance and amendments, of which
committee.
none of us are even on?
I don't know if we have any membership
Okay.
listed as of yet, but those should come before the Compliance and Amendments Committee at the next available opportunity.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, whoever they might be. Okay.
There being no announcements, or are there announcements?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Sure.
The meeting is adjourned.
Oh, wait.
There you go.